everyone, it's Bronie here again for another day in Bronie's world and at Bronie's desk today. This Tuesday before Easter, we've had a bit of a funny day with lots of things happening and people away and everything. So we are going to have a little bit of a round table discussion today on fibromyalgia with the amazing Dianne Shelley, who is a wealth of information in all things, because she has been around Dr. Wallach and his company for umpteen years, probably from the beginning, before it became Longevity. So we thought, because there's only four of us on today, I would leave everyone spotlighted, everyone on here, and we will have a roundtable discussion on, well, because it's inflammation, isn't it, Dianne? I mean, that's basically what fibromyalgia is, and so many diseases and things, issues that people have are basically caused from inflammation. And we have a solution that could help you eliminate that inflammation, because I personally have had suffered with fibromyalgia for over 40 years. Most of that time, the doctors had no clue what it was. They just told me I'd have to live with it and just get used to it. But I wasn't prepared to do that. I'm one of these people who keeps going and looking, but they could never tell me what caused it. So anyway, and then I came across the amazing Dr. Joel Wallach, who helped me to work on it, and I don't suffer from it anymore. Well, only if I stick to the protocol and stay off all the bad foods. And the first thing he always tells us to do is get off those foods that cause inflammation, that cause a lot of is the root cause of so many health issues today. And that was the biggest step for me, plus my favorite hydration stick, the Toreo, right? That was the biggest thing that turned me around before I had a chat with Dr. Joel Wallach, and then adding all the other nutrition. So anyway, with no further ado, Dianne, I'm going to hand it a little bit over to you, or should I hand it to Grant, because he's the one who posed this question in the first place. So Grant, you fire away, ask your question, and Diane's going to, if I have to mute, if Bubby gets a bit noisy, I'll mute, right?
Cool.
But
okay.
So Grant, we'll hand it to
all right.
you. Diane's going to respond.
Fibromyalgia. I understand that it's a stiff lamb's disease and adult onset muscular dystrophy. I understand Dr. Wallach's point on it. What I don't understand is, how can the medical system get it so wrong for so long when it's in the animal kingdom? It's eliminated fairly easily. And what is it like to live with it? And what is it like to be told by the system that you're an idiot? Or it's all in your head for like 30 and 40 years, when the solution's fairly straightforward. It just staggers my imagination. I have trouble with it. So, and there's a few experts on here, so I'd like to have a discussion on the topic, please.
Dianne, I'll let you respond to that.
Okay, I'm not an expert at everything, but I am a farm girl, and I've got a basic experience in animals, humans, and I've been with Dr. Wallach since he first stepped into Australia. And he's a wonderful man and very dedicated to the supplements, and we've grown over the years, and it's the best products I've ever used. So basically, it's everything comes under a heading of some sort of a disease, or there's a problem here or a problem there. I had somebody just ring me the other day. There's a 5-year-old child having muscle cramps. Will I give them magnesium? No. Give them a whole 90 essentials. Okay, because a lot of the diet today, I've seen a big transition in the diet, and basically the diet today is highly processed. Your milk's highly processed. All your foods are highly processed. P&K now grows your vegetables. I'm in a farm area. P&K, phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium, is drizzled down hydroponics all your cucumbers, lettuces, all sorts of different salady foods, and that's how they produce it, and it's all controlled what's going into the vegetables. So today we do have a lot of nutritional deficiencies. And it's also in the animal industry. I've got horses, I've had horses, goats, dogs, and when you look into the dog industry, they're also affected with our dog food and processed food. But horses and goats, they're all given mineral blocks. Now I've got them here, mineral blocks, supplements that are going into all their feed. So every single thing in the animal industry, we supplement.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money in the food chain at the moment, and I am very much into natural foods here. So my husband's 78 today. And
Happy birthday to your husband. I forgot his name.
I'm coming 75 in a few weeks' time. And I have to be a farm girl and lift 20-kilo bags in bins and do all that sort of stuff. And I put it all down to the nutrients that I'm getting through Dr. Wallach's 90 Essentials. So, and the essential fatty acids, I'd like to say the EFAs are very, very important in the diet as well, for heart. And also I've had a stroke. I had a stroke numerous years, a stress stroke. I'm not on any medication. So just getting off the track of the fibromyalgia, inflammation is the heading for a lot of these, and then it just runs down to all these different other disorders or diseases. But after having a stroke, I am off within at first 12 months or 9 months. I worked through it all, and I'm not on anything, and Dr. Wallach's products is what I'm on. And one of the big things with your blood thinners is your essential fatty acids.
Yeah.
So
it's a natural blood thinner, isn't it?
It is a natural blood thinner.
And
that's another thing with your fibromyalgia or anything other, you must have oxygen. You've got to have oxygen to the cells. You know, you've got to have that body functioning, so that and that's the way you get healthy, is to have the proper nutrients, the oxygen, movement, exercise, you know, all that sort of thing. So
it's because people are usually in so much pain with not just fibromyalgia but other things that they don't move and don't realize they're actually making the situation worse. And the pack that Dr. Wallach suggested I have on top of my Oreo that I was already having was the Healthy Body, Brain and Heart pack. And it's got those extra EFAs in there for a reason, because you need
and selenium.
And the selenium, yes. And they're not the only things that he suggested, but you know,
that's a good base.
The 90 Essentials. I mean, you know, people ask me, oh, well, I'll take this vitamin or that. I did a survey, actually. Most people take vitamin C and Bs. They're the ones.
Yeah.
B
2 out of 90. Yeah, two out of 90.
There you go.
And they say, oh, but it doesn't work. Well, because you're missing the other
partners. They're all in partners.
And you've got no idea of how bioavailable the products they're taking are anyway. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, look at our selenium, for example. You know, Dr. Wallach has often said he won't tell people just to go on selenium, because people were doing the wrong thing.
Yes, they were.
They were just going and getting it from wherever, and they didn't have the cofactors. And as he said, without the cofactors, you are wasting your time. You will still continue to have the problems, and you know, you will end up with more health issues, if not death.
There's primary and secondary cofactors.
Yes, because it's where it's sourced from is just as important as what it is. You know, our bodies weren't designed to digest rock. You know, so it's just sort of kind of, yeah. It's important that you know the quality of your supplements and the cofactors that go in it. Am I correct?
Yeah. And the secondary cofactors as well. Secondary cofactors would be the rest of the 90 essential nutrients.
Yeah. That's right.
Mm.
And you can't have one without the other. It's like having a horse without a carriage without a horse. You can't have a carriage without, well, you can, but the carriage won't go very far without a horse.
And the primary cofactors are selenium, zinc, copper, chromium, vanadium. This was probably one other. Mm. There's a few vitamins as well. It's on the side of the selenium little jar.
See, so some people say to me, so what really is fibromyalgia? And trying to explain that to people is very difficult because, and this is why doctors will often will say you're a hypochondriac before they'll say that you have fibromyalgia, because the pain moves. Your body tries, once you get a pain in one area, it tries to adjust and compensate somewhere else, and then you get the pain there. And this is why I remember when I was diagnosed with it finally, the specialist that diagnosed me with it, I cried, and he said, "Oh, I didn't mean to make you cry." And I said, "Oh, it's just a relief to know that it's not all in my head, because the doctors just told me it was all in my head and I need to see a psychiatrist." And he said, "Yep." And usually by the time people get to me, they have gone around the twist, because their doctors and everyone else tell them they're hypochondriac and it's all in their head and they just need a psychiatrist and just to get over it and all this sort of rubbish, that sort of talk, instead of actually getting to the root cause. Now, okay, the specialist that I saw still didn't help me get to the root cause. He was still said, "Oh, here's a drug you can take," and I refused to take it because it had psychotic. Yeah, ingredients in it. So, but because I said to him, "What do I do?" He said, "Well, just keep doing what you're doing," because but I still knew that wasn't quite right. So like I said, I searched, and I couldn't believe the difference it made in myself just by eliminating foods that I thought were perfectly fine. Things that you don't think, or you don't think that some of these foods are an issue. And I mean, why would you think? I just never connected the dots. You talk about gluten. Well, what's gluten? And you don't realize that it's a lot of people. Well, I didn't, because I'm dumb.
You're not dumb.
Like I didn't know that the gluten is actually found in wheat, rye, barley, oats, and that buckwheat is even worse still. And you got to be careful, because on the supermarket shelves they can call it gluten-free and still use buckwheat, and buckwheat is, I think Doc said, it's at least 10 times worse than gluten itself.
And oats has got long-chain fatty acids that are hard to break down.
Yes,
they have a
and
slightly different name.
Is not on, is a bad. It's on the bad list. And I know so many people. Oh, but oats is good for you. You can get gluten-free oats, and as Doc said, there is no such thing as gluten-free oats. You can say it on the packet, but it's the other things they're using that are worse than the gluten itself. And that's what scares me. That I'm guilty of. I mean, look, I don't know about anyone else, but we were raised that porridge was a good good thing, stable food, especially in winter. So
I love porridge.
I love porridge too, but I don't eat it anymore.
I don't eat it anymore either.
I hadn't realised that was part of what was causing my issue. And I was astounded at the difference. I could not believe the difference. The cutting out these things that I loved, that I thought was good foods, only to find out they actually weren't. I went, okay. But as Doc says, I still have, every now and then have a few issues. Even though I don't eat it, it's still in the house, because I cannot get everyone else in the house to be gluten-free. And even having the dust of it, so to speak, in the house can still cause people issues. So, but we went through a period there where it was completely eliminated from our house, and we were all much better off. But when you don't have necessarily a 100% believer and it sneaks back in, we have other people come and now live with you full time, like mother-in-laws. But yeah, it does make a difference. So Dianne, do you have more? You have more.
Well, I was just going to say that every mineral has a partner. So you've got calcium, magnesium, and their partners. So when somebody rang me the other day and said, "Oh, can I just give this child magnesium?" No, because then what happens? It eliminates the calcium. So that's how it works. So that's why we go for the 90 essentials. But everything's got a partner: calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, copper, zinc. Now the copper zinc ratios, your copper is your estrogen also, and the zinc is your progesterone. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that. And in the foods, if you look up zinc foods, we don't get enough zinc in our food chain today. So therefore, you've got a high copper ratio, which you're estrogenic. So it's a higher in the estrogen. Now, when I bought my little dog just recently, and she's a big dog, she's a shepherd, I do TMAs, they're tissue mineral analysis. Now, I know Dr. Waller approves of these, and I've spoken to him about them, and basically my dogs get TMAs as well. Now, when I purchased her, she was numerous months old, and when the hair test came back, she was fed on dog biscuits, okay? And guess what? Her iron was about this high. Didn't even make the top where it should be. It was so low. So what I'm saying is it's really important to make sure that you're eating good quality food, fresh food, as fresh as possible. Stay away from the processed food and also the gluten. The gluten actually in the villi, in the intestines, got little hairy hair like standing up. It slurps it off. Okay, so that's why a lot of people have got bowel problems now. I've seen a few people who have got constant diarrhea. And that's why the digestion comes into this. It's the top of the chain here. You must have good digestion, and that's why we've got the enzymes. You masticate the food, goes down the esophagus into the stomach, and that's where the HCl is, hydrochloric acid. So Dr. Waller's got all these products for us. So again, the digestion is extremely important. And that's why I'm the poo lady, because what happens is I speak to people and I always ask what the poo's about. Now, it could be a dog or a horse or a goat, or a lady rang me up a while ago and she said, "Oh my God, I got diarrhea." Well, I thought, oh, they got worms. Well, they didn't. They had coccidiosis because I sent her to the vet. And that's what I always do. Send them, I want to know what the vet said, what the doctors have said, etc. So if they haven't seen a professional, I always make sure that they get a diagnosis. So, but the poo is really, really important because it's the end of the digestive system.
Yeah.
So what's coming out, it might be a good poo, a constipated. I spoke to a girl just a while ago and she's got rabbit pills, all the little poos, little pills coming through. Children too, it's very important that you look at the colour, the smell, how much is coming through. Is it coming through in little pieces? Is it diarrhea-y? That's the end of the chain of the digestion. Okay, so you can tell a lot through the poo. Well, it tells you how you're digesting, what's a good poo, what's a bad poo.
Yeah.
So,
Hello.
Well, it's that way. It's definitely the end of the digestive system. So, and so with babies, your little bubby comes home and you look in the poo and it's very different because it's on mummy's milk or, some sort of liquid, might be, powdered milk or whatever. But again, the poo starts to change and change. But it's just a shame that people don't really look at the poo because that's the end result of the digestive system.
Well, talking about poo, I mean, I know way too many people who have constipation constantly and don't poo for weeks on end.
That was me after chemotherapy, by the way. I had 7 years of severe constipation and my poos were quite lumpy and they went to the bottom. And I finally fixed it up with put a lot of legumes, beans in my diet, which fixed up the constipation problem. Caused another problem because I didn't cook them properly, but it fixed up that. And so, and I was, when I went through my chemotherapy, my radiotherapy, I had throat cancer. The only bit of real pain was constipation. I was in tears over constipation, and I was in agony. I couldn't even sit on the toilet. I had to come up the backyard and squat to try and get it out. And I was crying, and I'm a grown man, and I don't cry very easily, and I don't cry from pain very easily. But it was rough. That was the hardest part of my whole chemotherapy, radiotherapy treatment, which that was tough. I
know we have the cleanser effects that help with constipation, but EFAs, upping your EFAs would definitely help as well. Would I be correct?
Not for me.
I mean, it's all part of the 90, but I'm trying to get people to have the 90s.
Well, I take my EFAs, but I didn't find that did much for me. I had a
Probably just
severe
didn't
problem.
take enough.
I probably didn't take enough, but I had a severe problem. That was a bit of an issue.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There are a lot of people, the few people I'm thinking of, they one reckons that she's always had constipation all her life. She's now 88. So hang on a minute. Oh, Bubba.
Can I just say something? One of the big things here too is the liver function. Okay, a lot of people have got liver functions, and the their way, their lifestyle, they're drinking alcohol, they don't drink enough water. I know people say, "Oh, I only drink fizzy drinks. I don't drink."
Oh, God.
I know. I've talked to so many
there's
people
your problem.
with fizzy drinks, sugar, and it's a little bit of a
CO2
shame.
bubbles.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame too. I'd like to see the anatomy of the human body, and I would like to see like all the different organs to what they are. I call it fertilizer. So what the nutrient they need for that particular organ. So say for argument's sake, the chromium is what organ? Okay, do you know?
Liver? Would it be liver?
No. So this is what I'm saying. I'm just trying to join the dots for us.
Yep.
Because
So let us know.
I've done about 6 months at a market now just to do some surveys, and I realise that people don't know what's inside them. So you know that it's chromium. Now the chromium is the fertilizer for the pancreas. Now with the pancreas, you've also got type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Now type 1 diabetes they're born with that.
Correct.
Okay? Type 2 diabetes is instigated by poor diet.
Correct.
Okay? Right. So again, I hear people, and I've heard Dr. Wallach say this, they say, oh, well, I only got diabetes when I was 8 and I've got type 1. And it starts from birth if it's type 1, and if it's type 2, it's definitely type 2 and not from, it's through sugar. It's through their diet.
Amazing. You have no idea. It's the new thing that doctors will tell adults who've only, some of them are
the type 1, became type 1 at 35 or something.
Yeah. No, type 1 as far as I know.
You try and tell them, no.
But it can kick in at 8 years old because the body's able to produce a little bit of insulin, but not enough, so that when the baby grows into an adult, it can't quite cope with the extra volume that's needed. So
I know a baby right now that's born with it.
I know, but they can be type 1 up until puberty. It's any time up until puberty. Once they finish puberty, then it's not true type 1 after that. If they come with diabetes and they want to call, if they're 35 and they get classified as type 1 diabetes, that's just silly.
No, it's type 2. But
I know.
It's again, I don't think people understand what organs, what nutrients you're needing. So you've got adrenals and you've got insufficient adrenal function. You're tired. So what feeds the adrenal glands? Okay, so this is something for you to think about. Sodium, potassium.
Iodine?
No, sodium. Okay, well, I would like a chart put together. I've been thinking about it because I talk to the public all the time, and I understand now that they have got no idea what's inside their body. Okay, so when you say iodine, that's thyroid. Okay, so I've got 2 clients at the moment. One's got hypothyroid and one's got hyperthyroid. When it's hypo, it's low function, and when it's hyper, it's high function. Okay, they've got an overactive thyroid, right? But I think I'd like to see a chart with all the organs and the nutrients or fertilizer. I've called it fertilizer now. We fertilize plants. We fertilize the grass. Every time something looks a bit down, we fertilize it. If there's a horse got a problem or a dog got a problem, the first thing I do is look at the fertilizer. Are you giving it this?
That's a brilliant idea, Dianne. It's just fascinating. Yeah.
Well, I just think that people within the company, we need a chart.
We do.
That says what particular, also your brain needs certain, the essential fatty acids.
Cholesterol.
Cholesterol. It needs the cholesterol, but it also needs the essential fatty acids.
Absolutely, yeah.
And again, I don't think, and when you're talking about muscles also, you're also talking about proteins, and I think that this chart should have the different nutrients of these different organs, muscles, bone, all that part of the body we need to know what the fertilizer is for those parts of the body. Now, for argument's sake, Bronwyn asked me about a family member with arthritis. Now, arthritis is basically a calcium deficiency. Okay, we've got high, and every single person I've seen, even children are getting arthritis now. It's a calcium deficiency, right? So again, I have...
But it can be brought on by leaky gut.
No. It's definitely, as people are aging, but children have got it now because it's not in their diet.
The leaky gut,
not in their diet. It's not in their food.
Yeah, but the leaky gut doesn't allow the body to absorb whatever calcium is around anyway.
Well, it's not just calcium. They're just not absorbing straight away. And that's why the poo, look at the end of the result. Digestion from the mouth right through the organs down to the anus. And when the poo comes out, that tells me, because that's one of my first questions. After I've listened to all the story, I say, what is the poo? If it's a dog or a horse, whatever it is. I even found in a horse poo one day, it had eaten a plastic bag, just a small plastic bag. And I check poo all the time. That's why I'm the poo lady.
Yeah.
Because if I don't check the poo, I don't know what's going on. So when the dogs do poos, looking for parasites. Now, that's another thing we don't talk about. We need parasitic. There's a lot of parasites around now. People have got worms. Dogs have got worms. And when I ask them, do you worm your dog? Do you worm your children? They still don't. People don't still seem to think that people have got parasites. They've got parasites. And I'll tell you a little story. Now, this is a real secret. I had a gentleman once who had a wife came up and said, oh, I've got an itchy bottom. Oh, can you have a look? And he said, yep, get on the bed and I'll have a look. And he said, there's a little white, hang on, I'll just get the tweezers. And he grabbed the little white bit and he started to pull it out. Oh, it was a tapeworm.
Wow.
Okay. Now that tapeworm, it's a very common worm. The dogs will have it, people have it. Now, how do they get that tapeworm? You've got a pet dog. You pat the dog, you get the egg, and then you eat. Don't wash your hands. It goes down into the digestive system. And I saw 2 cases. These were 2 cases I saw with a tapeworm in the lung and a tapeworm in the liver in 2 humans. So these are the things that are not brought to your attention. It's just that I'm a farm girl and I'm the poo lady. So consequently, I'm always checking for those sort of things. But parasites are very, very important to address.
And what would you recommend to clean the body with parasites?
Well, I think that just it's got something, haven't they, Bronwyn?
Yeah, well, there's a parasite cleanse in the Good Herbs line as well.
Yeah, well, they've got something there too. But even with my dogs, I use wormwood and I get things mixed up for my animals because
good liver detox would.
Yeah, and basically, I also
And Dr. Conaway has a protocol as well.
Yeah. Well, do the protocol. And then what I do also is I get the feces or the poo checked. So when the dogs, I've wormed them and I make sure, or the horses or whoever I'm worming, I then go to the vet and I get a worm count. Now, some years ago when I was breeding horses, I was using pastes and I had a mare that was just not doing so well. So I did a worm count and you wouldn't believe it. She had parasites. So I ended up getting the vet yearly, once a year. I used to do, they drench them. They put it down into the gut and drench the horse. So that was how I addressed it. But I always get them checked. Now, I wasn't sure a while ago whether the vets did the dogs, because I get them counted on the goats, right? And I check. And I thought you should do the dogs. So I did the dogs and I took my poo up to the vet. And anyway, my dogs didn't have worms. But that's another way of making sure that you haven't got parasites, which is worms, and you know that you're using the right products or the right protocol for the, the animal as well, or people.
What percentage of people would you think have parasites in them?
Everybody.
Oh, everyone. Oh, okay.
Yep. See, it's
more common than people think. That's why they say you should deworm yourself.
And I've seen a fair bit because I've been around the medical situation in, the past years. So we've had to actually defeciate a human by hand. And we'd had to do that because of their bad diet and they're so constipated they can't get it out, the poo. So there's lots and lots of things that I've seen because I've been around the medical department. So and that was in the old days, right? So I haven't done the new days, but I'm looking around at the public and I don't think they look very well. Very overweight these days as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We've just watched a video everyone must watch on a 4th series of videos on parasites. Oh, my God, it'll put you off eating.
Oh, there you go. There she is. She's telling you about the parasites. Yep.
You wouldn't want to eat fish or anything or go out on the ground with your bare feet for life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, and Liz has got a lady in hospital at the moment that's got a big, I think it's parasite, and on her big thing on her forehead, and it's opened up and all this pus is in there, and it's disgusting. But yeah, this video on parasites, it's disgusting.
And is that on YouTube?
Yep.
No, but I'll send it.
Yeah, well, that'd be a good idea. I was just talking about the parasites, and basically, I'm aware of it because I'm a farm girl and I've had animals, and one of their protocols with everything is parasitic.
Yeah.
We address that. But I find that most humans don't think that they've got parasites.
Everybody's got parasites, but it all depends on your immune system as how to, if your immune system's right down, you're going to end up with parasite diseases. But it's the Good Herbs man, Bet Barawashi's videos.
There you go.
And he's got a recipe at the end for a parasite. It's one of his people, naturopaths, is doing the talking. But yeah, he's got a recipe for it. So it's just horrific.
Oh yeah, I know about worms.
Yeah, from birds to everything. Anyway.
Oh, there you go.
Very good, Karen. I'm trying to get him on as one of my guest speakers, but one day he'll.
I'd love to see him on there. We need him on.
I keep asking and I keep asking.
What's his excuse?
He doesn't get back to me.
Yeah.
But I will work on it. Yeah. But we just talking about doing a skeleton of all the different things it's all in your head, in the back, right? We have that with all the spinal cord. We could soon adjust that because it's got all
to the organs. Yeah, the organs that need the nutrient, the fertilizer.
And then we can just we could adjust that somehow. We could use that as a basis. I mean, you wouldn't need any more than that, would you?
No, well, you've got lungs and stomach and esophagus and tongues and
showing everything
tonsils and
maybe not.
Yeah. And at the moment, when men are getting older, there's the prostate and nobody wants to talk about it and all that sort of thing. So there's lots of organs that need fertilizer and care. You know, they're not caring because they don't understand what their body, what's inside their body. As I've just said to Grant now, what organ gets what do we fertilize that with? We know what the nutrients are, but who uses that particular nutrient? So,
Right. So that's a project that we can work on together.
okay,
That is a good project. That is a top project.
okay, good.
Yeah,
And
I
then we will
like that.
present it to the company.
Yeah, I think it would help because I know we can take the 90 and nutrients, but as I say, if you've got arthritis, you need to up certain nutrients, and that's where I'm using the bone builder. And another thing that I've found through the company too, it's not the company's fault, but on your bottle of product, whatever the product is, will say take 2 tablets, right? 2 of this or 1 of that or 1 3 times a day or something. For an enzyme, for argument's sake, it'd be breakfast, lunch and dinner. But say for calcium or magnesium or anything that you're isolating, if you're only, say, so many kilos low,
45.
medium or high, so if you've got somebody that's huge, two of those tablets isn't enough.
I know.
Okay, so when I was using the bone builder, in one instance, I was using 20 tablets of the bone builder
A day.
Yep.
But not all at once. Is it? Would you?
No, that was throughout the day. But when you've got somebody who is high weight, now if you've got a low weight, you've got to work it out again. It says 5 morning and night, say for argument's sake, so that's 10. So if you're doubling it, and then as people are bigger, like so I've seen people in the streets now that is huge.
Well, a lot of men would be 200 pounds, which is 20 glucose gel. So that's not hard.
Right. So again, this is something that people have to address. And if they're saying, "Oh, well, that didn't work," well, check. You know, how many tablets are they taking? Are they taking 90? Well, it is. And then people, don't worry, I've had a lot of experience at this. The other thing is, it's too expensive. Well, what's it expensive to?
Yeah.
Okay.
You pay for it on the way in, or the pay for or the price listed on the way in, or the price demanded on the way out.
You are going to pay somebody.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay? When you're sick, you've got to go and, okay, you might get free medical here and free medical there, but there's a lot of things out there that you've got to pay for. Look at all your hip replacements now, all your knee replacements, all the different procedures these days. And as I say, I'm 75 in a few weeks' time and I am not on anything.
And that's the way you like it.
Well, neither am I, really.
No,
A lot of supplements, but nothing else.
Yep. But you've had some experience now, but you've learnt something today too.
I've learned a few things, and I like your little idea of a chart with different
I
organs.
think the chart would be a really good thing to have.
The top little thing, yeah.
Yeah, if Bronwyn, because I don't think anybody really understands. We've got the products and the 90 essentials, but in some cases we have to up certain things because of weight for a start. What do you give a child? All those sort of things come into it. It's just that I've had experience with this, and I've worked with Dr. Wallach since day one, and he's trained me virtually and Dr. Strauser as well. I was very fortunate.
Dr. Wallach, Dr. Glidden, they could do that off the top of their head.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So there were Bronwyn. That's something for us to get done.
We will get that done. I think it's a great idea because
it's a top idea.
You know, it would make it even simpler still to explain to people and even for our own reference.
You could put that to Dr. Wallach yourself.
Yep,
Ronnie.
you might even put it to,
Very good.
And even skin, I'm seeing people now who their skin is really really dry skin. Some of these athletes have got really saggy skin, because they've got, they're fanatics about whatever, but they can fix it through using the nutrients.
Yeah.
And essential fatty acids, I think, are underestimated.
Yeah.
And also I'd like to say is that 99%, if you like, 100% of people walking the streets are going to have a cardiovascular problem somewhere in their life. So again, it's a stroke or a heart attack. So how important is it to look after your brain and your heart, your circulation?
Yeah.
You know, you clean your house, you clean your car,
Yeah.
okay? You wash your clothes. Who looks after cleaning the body?
Mm.
And that's where the nutrients come in. That's what the liver does, the pancreas, the kidneys. Look at the kidneys. There's so much kidney problem out there now.
Mm.
You know, all
It's
these
our responsibility
organs,
to look after our own health.
yes, all these organs need to be fertilized. I'm calling it fertilizer because I'm a farm girl and I fertilize everything. So
Yeah.
again, you know, I've had some you know, challenges, and I've helped people because of the education that I've had through this company with Dr. Wallach. So, and I know our products work, but sometimes if somebody says it's not working, check on what they're taking, how much, what they weigh, all that.
What they're eating, what they're drinking.
Yep.
Yeah,
And processed food is just a waste of time.
Well,
Yeah.
it is amazing though that it's right, because you know you can't out supplement a bad diet,
Mm.
and I find that the people that the supplements don't work for as well just will not give up certain foods.
No.
And I know it's the foods, but trying to let them know to understand that it's that food that's causing the issue. That's where your root cause is from that, and you can't absorb it. And I actually say to people who really want to stay on pharmaceutical drugs, I said, well, look, if you're eating those bad foods, you can't absorb them either. If you want to stay on them, that's fine, but you're not getting the benefit of them because
That's
you can't
true.
absorb them either. So, you know, it comes down to if it's to the foods, you know, you need to eliminate them.
That was the baby, was it?
No, the door went shut and I had a mouse trap there.
Okay, I've got something interesting to tell you.
Sorry.
I have been to the cancer clinic with somebody. I've seen a bit of mouth cancer around, and I had somebody close to me who I went to the cancer clinic with mouth cancer. I've got somebody else at the moment who's got mouth cancer. And the first thing they've asked were, do you smoke and drink? And this person did smoke and drink. And the doctor at the time explained that the wine, which this person drank every day, wine, it affects the enzyme in the mouth. Okay, so the mouth has a particular enzyme to start the process of digestion. Now, with all that wine going in, it affected the enzyme of the mouth, and they've had mouth cancer. I've got another one right now. It's in the same boat.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of wine, though, was it?
They drink wine every day.
Yeah.
But then again, a lot of people drink wine regularly. How much, who knows? But a lot of people do drink today. Fortunately, I don't drink, so that was something I learnt.
I drink about a bottle a week, something like that.
Of wine.
Yeah.
Well, just remember it affects the enzyme. This is what it was told to me by the doctor at Northmead.
Yeah, well, I had throat cancer, and I never smoked in my life. Yeah, didn't go anywhere near it. Like, but I got throat cancer. But I got throat cancer because I was exceptionally fit. That's why I got it.
Well,
I'm not sure if that's why you got it.
Well, it is because I used up my nutrients pretty quickly. So I ended up being nutrient deficient. That's why a lot of athletes die young. I was exceptionally fit, and athletes, the gridiron players, they die at 52. A good athlete will die at 56, and some of them go to 62, depending on what sport they are. And I was.
Doc says dead athletes are the same.
Don't live. And I was fit enough to be an athlete. I was a frontline soldier for 24 years, and a keto coach and student, and I rode my push bike to and from work. I sweated a lot, but I did not understand in any way, shape, or form nutrition and supplements and using any of that up. And I didn't do any of that. So I got sick the same time as what most athletes do, at 56. And that's where it got me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
interesting, isn't it? Mm.
Okay. Well, I hope that's some help.
Well, look,
Yeah.
it's been different this morning. You know, it's amazing what we can pull together when our guest speakers pull out or don't show up or whatever. We just find something else, and we can always count on the beautiful Dianne Shelley to bring us knowledge that I don't have. Well, I probably do, but I don't necessarily explain it the same way. But you go into more in-depth than I do. So with no further ado, guys, we're going to call it a day. And as I ask you all nicely here in a Bronie's world, to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And even if you have days like today where guest speakers didn't appear, it's still good to have that roundtable discussion to find out what's really troubling people and how we can help them with their health issues. And inflammation is a big thing, but most of all, when you are getting rid of those bad foods, then you too, my friends, will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's World. Bye now. And yes, as far as I'm aware, we will have Ben next week, but I will let you know. If not, if you're here, you're around, I will be on regardless. Sorry. All right.
Thanks, girls.
Bye.